All right. Good evening, everyone. Can we please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Blanton?
Here.
Mr. Volrath?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
All right. Can I get a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from the March 18th, 2026 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees?
I'll make a motion for the acceptance of minutes for March 18, 2026, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees.
I will second.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right. And then can I get a motion for the acceptance of invoices up to today?
I will make a motion that we accept all invoices as presented by the fiscal officer over the last month.
I will second.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right. Sheriff's report.
Good evening, everyone. I have the report for March. In March this year, there were 301 runs. 105 of them were dispatch details, 96 were self-initiated. For service exchange, there were 149 instances of the Miami Township car being requested outside of Miami Township. They were sent 127 times and disregarded or otherwise handled 22 times. There were 36 instances where a county car was requested into the township. They were sent 27 times and disregarded 9 times. For the month, we handled 12 criminal reports, 7 non-criminal reports, and 3 auto accidents. Are there any questions or concerns that I could address?
Any questions from the board?
Radar in Bridgetown, can we request more?
Yes.
Because I've seen one, not that they're not doing it, I'm not saying that. I've seen one cruiser in the last probably 6 months run radar. So just, whether they're running radar or not, just being visible where they're being seen, you know what I mean, the perception of it just slows people down. Where I live on Bridgetown, which is 8663, they come down that hill so fast and around that curve, I pull out, and I don't feel old yet, but I press the gas, go out pretty good, and they're right on top of me. I mean, right on me. So they gotta be going 50 plus.
Certainly pass that on.
So that's all. That's all in my request.
All right.
So, and again, I'm not saying they're not. I've only seen them once. So that's all. And then our other speed over the years we've had trouble with is Mitchell Park. We've had complaints there. That's been within the last year. And then dog trot, always dog trot, going down it, not coming up it, obviously. So I was just making you aware of it, so you know, Lieutenant McElroy knows about it also. So, but thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything from the public?
I have a comment. Last week there was a structure fire on East Miami River Road, which the departments decided to, probably for safety and needed to be, to close East Miami River Road from Gum Run. On the other side, I have no idea. When those officers closed Gum Run, who makes the decision on where to close and how to detour? And the reason I'm bringing this up is, we all know the gravel traffic with the gravel trucks and the dump trailers. I'm not talking dump trucks, big trucks, but dump trailers and semis with trailers. They were actually sending them up Gum Run Road to Buffalo and hanging a right. I thought that was unbelievable for an officer to do that.
I don't know why a semi-driver would turn up that hill, knowing the area.
I don't know why the officer didn't go down to Harrison Avenue and not let them come in.
Well, there's only so much manpower, and it depends on where the officers are and if an officer can get there. Because if we put an officer up to Harrison, then I have to have an officer at Gum Run, and then I have to have an officer basically at every side street that's going to let traffic in.
And I agree with you 110%.
So manpower's a big issue for us.
Manpower is a big issue, but on times like that, don't they reach out to Colerain Township and let them come down and assist?
Well, there's also manpower issues there where they don't have officers available to come help all the time.
I just think there needs to be better communication. I don't think they should be, and I'm not talking one truck. I'm talking multiple trucks for over an hour. The safety for those trucks to pull them hills and not have cause an accident, I cannot believe. I know it's terrible, I know it's manpower, but to me, when it comes to safety, we gotta reach out and do other things. I don't care if it's get one of our maintenance department and they put up a road close on, or the county. But do you know what Gum Run Road looks like?
Yes, sir. I've worked in this region for over 20 years.
And I'm sure
I'm
those
aware.
officers that were sending the trucks up the hill have worked there for years too. I just can't believe that they did that.
No,
personally.
if I'd been there, I would have told the trucks to park where they were, and I would have just blocked East Miami entirely, and
Yes.
no traffic would have gotten through.
I agree. That would have been the better thing.
So I'm sorry that happened, because, yeah, that, to me, that's shocking to send a gravel truck up that hill.
Okay, that's all I got. Thank you.
So I got one more question, sorry. So I just thought about this. We're having trouble at West Park with these kids on the battery-operated motorcycles and battery-operated bikes. Some of them can, I don't know if you've ever been on one or not, some of them can go from 20 mile an hour up to 40 miles an hour. So if you can just look into it, and we can ask our legal counsel too. I know we need to put up signs, but they come through our park, and our maintenance has had to chase them off in the past because they're off of the bike trail, which we don't want them off the bike trail. Really, we don't even want them in there
Yeah.
on a vehicle that can move that fast. But I don't know if you're dealing with this as a department throughout the county, or if it's even on your radar or not.
I know it has been on the radar, but it is kind of a sticky issue because they're considered toys as far as laws concerned for the most part. And the definition with vehicles is defined by brake horsepower, and it's hard to define that with electric motors. There's an issue with how they're rated, what the manufacturer is saying. This vehicle's rated at a certain horsepower. So it is a issue that is a lot of murky water for us.
Okay. So there's nothing keeping us from a township as far as posting. I don't know, we'll have to ask Alex, Jim. I didn't mean to talk to you about this, is posting. We'll ask our legal counsel, but as far as prohibiting battery-operated motor vehicles, bicycles, motorcycles, whatever you want to call them, some of them, well, I will just tell you this. I'm at Sprinkles, okay? You know where that is. And there's one going down the middle of Cleves, and you know what's right past Jackie's on the right?
Yep.
Speed radar sign, 39 miles an hour, 39. And it was a kid that looked 12, 13 at the oldest. That was the oldest. So I'm just bringing it up to you. So we'll talk to our council, see what we can do as far as what we can post to keep them out of our park. Because somebody's going to end up getting hurt. That's what's exactly going to happen.
The Village of Cleves also did that too. They were finding out what they could do. Just so you know, they brought.
They're looking at it also?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just putting it on your radar, so maybe you can ask your council and get back with us next month, and we can talk to ours in the meantime, try to remedy a plan for what we exactly need to do.
All right.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All right. Before we get into the next section, public presentations and public requests to be on the agenda, I kind of feel the need to address an elephant in the room this evening. Last month, Trustee Robeson surprised the entire board with a revelation. That revelation involved him acting alone, canceling our outside private auditor, and asked for a state of Ohio audit. The audit was requested out of concerns that Trustee Robeson has. It's now a full month from that revelation, and I have no additional information from Trustee Robeson that he shared with myself or anyone else on the board. My understanding is Trustee Robison has never met with Fiscal Officer Oster to discuss any of his concerns. He's not spoken with our administrator or myself or Trustee Blanton about any concerns. In my opinion, this has a much deeper narrative. Trustee Robison is trying to place doubt in individuals' minds about how the township operates financially. Fiscal Officer Oster has been in this role for 30-plus years now and has been through countless audits every 2 years. Never has there been any issue with how we do business and the accounting methods that Ms. Oster uses. I want to be very clear that we welcome this audit. The township has nothing to hide. I fully stand behind our fiscal officer and have full faith in her ability to complete her responsibilities. As President of the Board of Trustees, I have no concerns about Ms. Oster and the role that she completes for this township. I know Ms. Oster has been deeply hurt by his action, and my hope is that after this audit, Ms. Oster plans to return to the polls as a candidate again in our race next year. The township has a fiscal officer that has deep ties to this community and puts her heart and soul into everything that she does. And I hope that Trustee Robison gets his concerns answered, but in the future, instead of acting alone, consults his board first. As I stated earlier, we do welcome this audit.
I concur 100%.
Obviously, I'm caught off guard by the statement that it was not on the agenda, wasn't the normal protocol of how the meeting operates.
We were with the audit.
So if everybody expressed their confidence in our operation the last meeting, and you're reiterating the confidence in the operation again, so I don't understand why the reaction that is coming when this is an absolute normal routine process that happens for thousands of jurisdictions across the entire state of Ohio every single year. This is a very routine
They do
procedure.
an audit every year?
They do audits throughout the state of Ohio across thousands of jurisdictions.
Right, every 2 years.
Every year.
I know that.
But then-
I've had many
Right.
state audits.
Correct. And so this is very routine. And so the reaction.
Have you ever heard of this, a one-year audit? Like-
In certain cases, but not.
I love audits. I do have a statement. I love audits. I have no problem. I bring it because I already have everything organized, and the audit is just not financial. I hope you understand. It's board policies, the contracts. Financial is just a part of the audit.
Correct. I could not
Okay.
agree further.
So-
And so this has nothing to do with Ms. Oster. This has nothing to do with the fiscal officer. This is about the township as a whole. And for us right now, there is more scrutiny than there's ever been, and I think I said this the last meeting, with the possibility of eliminating the property taxes and potentially going on the ballot there. There is more scrutiny towards levies, and that we owe it to our residents to be able to look them in the eye and say, we are doing the very best that we can, and we are running the most efficient, most effective township that we can with your tax dollars, and being frugal and responsible. And so if we do that and we do this audit and it comes out great, then fantastic. We can look our voters in the eye, we can look our residents in the eye that we serve and say, you have a well-run township. And if we don't, if something comes back, then we work on fixing it. And
And
this
we
has
do
been
every
portrayed.
time. We just went through the 23 and 24, and there were, 2 or 3 items, and Jim and I already sat, he's working on one, and actually, there were just 3 recommendations. So I think the 23 and 24 audit was pretty darn good. 25 is going to be actually even better, because now I'm really working with Chief Schuman, and now Sissy and I have set up a maintenance program on getting things signed off. So, I just think we do not have a problem with a one-year audit. I love audits. It's just the way it was done. Instead of coming and talking, Jim had no idea, I had no idea.
And you said you had concerns. That's
And
an
you
issue.
want to work as a team, and to me, that's not working as a team.
100%.
If we're being honest, again, this has not been a team
I know,
almost since I started. So
I always want to try to make this a team.
I'm left out of conversations all the time, meetings, blindsided. so, again, this is not directed towards you or any specific individual. This is about ensuring that we can look our residents in the eye and say, we're running a well-run, well-oiled machine here, and that's part of why I was elected, and I think that I owe it to the taxpayers to provide that assurance. And it's music to my ears to hear everybody express confidence. So what I don't understand is that there's been a lot of pushback, and that's what actions.
There's
We
been
are
zero
not pushing back the audit at
pushback
all.
on this
I'm all for it.
Zero pushback.
No
Let's
pushback.
go ahead and move forward.
Well, Mr. Bland, did you reach out to our legal counsel and question whether I had the ability to, you're just saying there's zero pushback. So did you reach out to our legal counsel and ask whether I had the ability to do this and question whether this could be done?
I did question it.
Okay, so
Because you said you had concerns and you never put any concerns on the record.
So that's
You sit there
pushback.
and meander around.
Did you
stuff.
reach out to the state
And
auditor's office?
I think it's our obligation as another trustee
Find out where you're coming
to
from.
find out if you're acting legally or not. And that's what our legal representation is for.
And did you reach out to the state auditor's office?
100%.
Okay, so if there's no
100%.
pushback and everybody's
Because
welcoming this, then
my
I don't
thing was,
understand.
they
Was not
shouldn't
the
be
audit.
canceling a contract with Perry and Associates over one request from one trustee. It should be the majority of the board. That was my big thing with them.
Okay,
Because I
so
think it's wrong.
we're
I
not
still think
welcoming
it's
it if
wrong.
we're saying that it's.
No, quit trying to twist words.
All right.
We are welcoming it.
Let's move
Cindy
on.
said it, and so am I
Okay.
welcoming
All right,
it.
let's move on.
Mr. Bullard,
Gotcha.
could I just interject one thing? Because I think something that's getting lost in all this is the folks who did our last audit as a contract auditor. And I had the opportunity to speak with the young lady who did our audit about
did
a
your
separate
audit,
issue.
too.
Did the audit at Whitewater. That's what I was speaking with her about, because I've got to do something I've never had to do over there. And I wanted her opinion. But I just want to say, I've talked with Trustee Robeson about it, and I know that Cindy is very happy with the work that Perry and Associates did. So we're not saying that Perry and Associates didn't do a good job. We're not unhappy with what Tracy did as the auditor. So just to put it on the record, we're confident with what they gave us the last time. We're just looking for something for 2025.
Yeah, and I
So-
love the state, working with the
And-
state. They're gonna
and-
take a lot longer, I'm gonna tell you, and they're gonna be a lot more costly, but I have a very good rapport with the state. I just worked with the Cleves audit through the state.
So anyway, I just
Sorry.
wanted to make sure that everybody out there knew that, there's no questions about what Perry and Associates did for us.
All right, thank you. All right, let's move forward. Any public presentations or public requested to be on the agenda?
I have people for public comments later on.
Okay.
If you want to do those now, we
Yeah,
can.
let's go ahead and do this now.
Okay. First up is Rob Newland.
And Rob, if you could step up there to the mic so everybody can hear you.
Rob Newland, I live on 3804 Bremen Pass. I have three concerns. I'm not sure I can do it in 3 minutes, but first one is the playground. I've been trying to get that fixed since like September. There's a couple soft spots where a kid could easily fall through there, hurt their ankle and that. Jim told me you guys are thinking about replacing it, and I don't know how long that will take, but I think it needs to be fixed before somebody gets hurt. My second one is the intersection of Bridgetown and Dog Shot. A lot of times the state, I know this is the state's responsibility, and I've called them a few times about cutting certain areas on Bridgetown Road. Last time I tried to get them to cut back the honeysuckle, because you're coming around that bend, especially around 5 o'clock, traffic builds up. If you cut it back, do some pruning spray, you could probably do it in an hour or less. It would give a much better view of that. It'd be a lot safer, because I'm sure, I've almost been rear-ended there a couple times.
Yeah, you come around that bend, it's bad.
Yes, all would need to be a certain honeysuckle cut back, and I think would make a world of difference.
That's always a
Something
problem.
very simple.
Yeah.
And my third is the amount of litter in this place. I've kind of been on a crusade of trying to take care of it. I know there's a lady on Shady Lane who's been doing it. I've probably taken out 50 garbage cans with the litter off of Bridgetown, across from Kroger's on Taylor Road. I've done what I can for the most part safely. There's certain areas, I know this stuff hasn't been done in decades, if ever. I was wondering if you could, first of all, look for volunteers next time you put your newsletter out, and then how much if we can spare an hour here, hour there of maintenance to do it, because there's some places that you're not going to be able to do without maybe stopping traffic. I would volunteer to help in any way I can, but I think Channel 5 just did a thing on it where property values can go down 8% just for the litter. And I've noticed since the areas I've cleaned up, you don't see near as much. People are still going to litter. Wouldn't mind seeing Hamilton County write a few tickets. Maybe that would stop some people.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, our community service with probation, they've helped us in the past. We can reach out to them again. And can you send me an email, like, not the exact spots, but address-wise, the spots
Yeah.
from address to address?
Well, I mean, you can just go drive down like the bottom of Dog Trot, Wesselman,
Well, we
Taylor.
can try to get them to do all the dog traffic.
I mean, some of them, I mean, if
People litter in my yard on Bridgetown
I-
every single day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, if you look around, like I just did Dog Trot in Bridgetown last week. And hopefully it stays that way. I know it won't stay there permanently, but any help I can get, the more the merrier.
Yep.
Well, I
It'll
would
make
think
an
too,
effect.
I will, I have some contacts with the Boy Scouts too. We'll see if
Yeah.
maybe they can.
But like I said, certain parts,
Reach out to community service.
certain parts, it's too dangerous just to be there by yourself. You almost have to stop traffic.
Probation would be, they wear a vest, they have a flashing truck and all that. The Boy Scouts might get hit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
We
you do it
will
once,
follow up.
it won't solve the problem completely, but it'll make it look a
We'll
lot
follow
better.
up.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, Jim.
Next up is Laura Hayslip.
If you could state your name and your address, please.
My name is Laura Hayslip, and I'm at 2939 Affirm Drive, North Bend, Ohio, 45052. I just had a couple questions about what was said before about the audit. And if you're talking about the potential misuse and waste of taxpayer dollars, doesn't an audit cost a lot of money?
I
Like
don't
how
know
much
about a
money-
one-year,
Costs a lot more.
How much money does that cost the
Usually an audit's
taxpayers?
between 15, 20,000 for a 2-year audit, so I don't know what this would cost.
So
I
it
haven't
would
gotten
be
anything from the
3 years
state.
of potentially 20, so it's $60,000
Right,
potentially
right.
over the 3-year period.
Well,
Okay.
no, She said
So-
20,000 for a 2-year, correct?
A 2-year,
So-
so I'm
so-
Yeah, but you would
assuming-
have one in '24, now you're going to have one for '25, and then another one in '26.
No, there'd be-
So that would be six, that's 3 audits
Should be half
for
of
3
what the-
separate
There'd be
years.
half, so there's
And then-
25 is 1 year, and then they'll just have to do 1 year after that. Instead of doing a 2-year, it's my understanding that they would do 1 year and 1 year instead of 2 years, so we're really not, this isn't really
I don't
increasing the
It's
cost.
still an additional audit
I've never-
that costs $20,000.
No,
I-
there's half,
No?
it's
Yeah, I
1
haven't
year
gotten
and
anything
1
from
year.
the state.
I feel like that's very wasteful.
If I can, just because I'm also a member of the Whitewater Township Regional Water and Sewer District, and because we got money from Hamilton County that was Recovery Act money, and we spent over whatever the limit is, we have to have a single-year audit. So the auditor told us to expect about 50% of what our 2-year audits cost. So I would expect it to be a little bit more, because they got to mobilize and come in, but I don't expect it to be the full cost of a 2-year audit, because they're only going to do half the work. Would that be fair?
I would think so, I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're usually higher
They
than
do have to
the
work,
private.
Okay.
But it's out of the ordinary because it's not scheduled,
Yeah,
so it's extra.
At the last meeting, you stated that you learned this at the Ohio Township Association seminar. I wanted to ask what specific session was this being presented?
You're just sharing your remarks.
So you're not going to share which seminar that was being presented at?
Well, Laura, so did you compile these questions, I guess, on your own, or are you speaking on behalf of the board?
No,
or-
I compiled these on my own, and I watched the last meeting, and I had questions that's regarding your statements specifically about how much money that this was going to cost the taxpayers for an additional audit that was unnecessary. And also, you stated yourself that you learned this at the Ohio Township Association seminar, and I was wondering which specific session was it being presented
So,
when you stated that?
so you didn't compile this at the secret meeting on Sunday that you had?
I don't know what you're even talking about, what secret meeting. There was
Well-
no secret meeting. I'm asking you, as a resident, which specific you said this in your last, in the last meeting. You stated this yourself at the last meeting. You learned this at the Ohio Township Association seminar. You had no idea. So I'm asking you which specific seminar it was that you learned this, and dancing around it, because I don't believe for 1 second that they did, because I did a public records request to them, and they said they don't have a section on that.
Okay, so,
So now I'm asking you, which specific session was this being presented? Because you said that's where you learned it.
are you going to let me continue? So, there was a meeting on Sunday. I was actually, last week, my grandmother passed away. My kids were in a wedding. They were the flower girl and the ring bearer. So I didn't get to get up here like I usually would plan on doing so, to stamp and sign things. So Sunday afternoon, I don't recall exactly what time it was, I drive up here to sign and stamp because everyone had asked me to stay up on that stuff. I'm driving up towards the entrance of the administration building right here, and I look up and I see Trustee Blanton, Trustee Vorath, and yourself walking into this building right here.
So I'm not allowed to use the community center as a resident?
I saw Cindy's car. I have no idea if she was here or not, but I saw Cindy's car parked outside.
I was not.
That's fine.
I never saw any of them.
I'm not saying.
I
I'm
was
not saying you
actually
were.
doing my work.
Can we
Great, so
get
I-
back to answering the
Well,
question so we can move on?
Well, if she's having meetings with the
I
two
am
of you in
not
the
having
township,
meetings.
you didn't meet with the two of them on Sunday afternoon?
I'm not having meetings. I don't know what you are talking about.
You have.
So are you going to answer the question? Because I don't
You
believe,
didn't have a meeting here on Sunday
according to the
afternoon.
Ohio Township Association,
I will
they
answer
don't
your
have
question.
You did not answer my
I said
question.
I will answer your question. So you did not meet with the two trustees on Sunday afternoon here?
This isn't like a question and answer session
You're-
for me.
you're going
This is a
back-
question and answer session for the board, from a resident.
And I'm
and these
happy
are
to.
the-
So you
So
just said
you're breaking the
did
rules of
not-
your own decorum.
You did not meet. That's what you said
All
before?
right, we're not getting
Well,
anywhere with
of course
this.
you don't want to say.
We're not getting
I'm
anywhere with
asking
this.
if.
You're not-
because
you're
I
not
didn't-
answering the question.
I didn't
Let's-
get invited to
let's
this
go ahead and
meeting,
move on.
this secret meeting.
There was no
There was
secret
no
meeting.
secret meeting.
There wasn't a meeting?
There was no secret meeting.
So there was
I
no
have
meeting.
no idea what you are talking
You
about.
have, okay, great, that's what I needed to know. So, just because there's not a session at OTA, just because there wasn't a session at OTA, doesn't mean that there's not auditors at an Ohio Township
So
Association.
this was never presented in a session?
No, I had conversations with representatives from the auditor's office, just like I did with, you have, all the state agencies are represented there. So just because there's not a specific session,
Reds game.
doesn't mean that I'm not having conversations with folks and
By yourself.
trying to learn. I'm there to learn. Yeah, I'm asking questions.
Outside the
I'm trying-
board,
What?
outside the rest of the board? You're having meetings
No,
by
there's no
yourself?
meeting. I'm attending informational sessions, and I'm talking to different representatives from the state agencies.
About what you can do
Okay,
Yes, I'm
Let's,
to
asking.
screw
I'm
over this township and waste money.
let's move on.
That's nice.
And I just want to comment, I was at the Reds game. I worked that morning and left with my dad, so
And
I was not even here.
Cindy, I believe you 100%. All I'm saying is that I pulled up, I see the three of
I
them walking
understand
in,
that.
and I saw your car out. That's all I know.
Thank you.
And that apparently there was a reason to meet for the three of them, and then you come up here with prepared
There was
question.
no
I'm not allowed to
secret meeting.
prepare.
We're allowed to move around the township without having secret meetings, Mike.
So there was no
Quit
meeting
making
up here. You keep
accusations.
throwing in secret to clarify. There was no meeting up
Quit making
here.
accusations to make your agenda fit your political motive, whatever you're trying to do.
Thank you. All right, let's move on. Anybody else?
Barry Moreline would like to address the board.
Yeah, my name's Barry Moreline, 5612 Gum Run Road. I was going to talk about but all my questions were already answered, so I'm not going to say any more.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Brett?
No, nobody else?
All right. Let's move on to the administrator report.
All right, so I'll start off with good news. The final plans are back from the EPA on the Jordan Road water line extension. The contractor is moving equipment in. I had hoped he would be here before this meeting, but with the snow and the rain last month, he got a little behind on the job he's on now. So the materials are ordered. The changes are in with Hamilton County. We'll be moving some guardrails, so you'll see some new guardrails going up. The county has been patching parts of the road that weren't part of the water line project, and I told them, I stopped and talked to the guys doing the work, and I said, you just may as well go, edge to edge, and they said, we're going to recommend that because the whole road needs repaired, and I think the folks that live down there would agree with that. So, but that project is back on. In my report that I gave to the trustees, I mentioned that part of the East Miami River Road realignment project was getting an easement in writing for the corner of, the property opposite of Jordan Road that is along Jordan Creek. Our legal counsel is here, so this is news to him, but I'll be asking him to put together an easement for that property. And I talked with Justin at the Village of Cleves because that will be in favor of the Village of Cleves Waterworks. He's fine with us doing the easement, sending it to their legal counsel, Rob Merkel, for review. The folks that own that property they were surprised to find out there was even a water line there now. So they're glad to find out about that. And so they'll have a written easement. It'll be recorded with their deed. And if and when they ever decide to sell the property, they won't have to worry about that. So everything's going good there. I think we're back on track. So the West Park expansion is, now that we're dried out a little bit, is starting to move again. Dan and I both attended a progress meeting last Friday and heard where they're at and what they plan to do. Wayne Miller was also there on our behalf. They had broke a water line in the soccer field area, and he wanted to make sure that it was okay to start that irrigation system up. So we're okay with that. And the one thing that we did discuss with them is they're going to give us a price on an irrigation system for that ball field. We're not sure if we're going to want to do that. A lot of it will depend on the price, but if we ever want to irrigate that field, it's cheaper to do it now while they're installing it than it would be to do it later. So I'll expect to have that for you next month. Events and communications. Lindsay and I are continuing to meet with the summer concerts and America 250 concert. Don't forget Shred Day is coming up April 25th from 9 to noon. That same day there will be a drug take back.
What is that date?
April 25th. And this weekend, the train show that was here last year is back. So I thought it was neat as an adult, but it's great for kids too. Sometimes I think I'm just a big kid when it comes to trains because I never had that big of a train set. So that's, they only set that entire display up in 2 different places in Hamilton County, I believe. One is at the Sharonville Convention Center and the other is here. So this is your chance to see the entire display, and it's great. Bring the kids, can come and enjoy. Bridgetown Road sewer crossing. I spoke with a representative for the property owners across the street, and they are requesting sewer availability information from MSD. That's the first step in that process. So hopefully we'll be able to help them get sewers for across the street. And even MSD has admitted that their idea was to leave a lateral for each property across the street, and that would end up being 6 or 7 laterals run under Bridgetown Road. And one lateral under Bridgetown would be a lot better than 4 or 5. It's been my experience, every time you have something that runs under the road like that, it may not happen in my lifetime, but when it happens, it'll bust in the middle of the road on the coldest day of the year, and the whole road will have to be shut down, and it'll probably be around Christmas. So I think one crossing would be better than all that. And I also talked with the health department. They will not, they're willing to work with us and not order sewers in to that area, even though we get it to the other side of the road. They'll work with the people on a time frame. And I've also been told that everybody over there wants it. So I think that that could be a really good investment on our part to get it under the road, and then we'll be eliminating a lot of systems that I believe are underperforming, older systems. So that'll be good for the environment as well. Just to mention this, while November seems a long way away, we were thinking about putting the replacement levy for the general fund on in May, and we decided to wait until November for the general election for that. More people turn out for that, so I think that's a good decision on the board's part. And with the timing for that, the question has to be submitted to the Board of Elections no later than August 5th of 2026. So we need to approve placing the question on the ballot at our July 15th meeting to meet that requirement. And in order to get that to the auditor's office here in Hamilton County to approve, we're going to have to approve that next month. So, you know, like I
Just
say,
start the
November seems
process.
like a long way away, but when Cindy and I were talking about it, it's like, yeah, you know, now we can, if we miss any of those deadlines, we can always have a special meeting in between to meet them, but I'd rather just do it at a regular meeting.
And remember, the finance committee, just a renewal of the .46.
46.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, so Alex is gonna find out that I'll be pestering him a lot here in the next week. So, electric aggregation, electric prices, as everybody knows, are skyrocketing right now. You gentlemen approved me signing off on those increases and decreases, hopefully, last year. So I got a call from Energy Alliances, our partner in that, and Rich said, hey, I think we're going to be able to lock you in at 10.299 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's a lot better than what Duke is right now. They're at 10.59. So he said, but if we get this done, he said, you're going to be in a group with Delhi and Green, and when I send it, you've got to sign it right away because it's going to be a short window. Well, I had a meeting with Marathon Health, which is something that I'll want to talk to the board about. I think Dan probably has Marathon Health through the county available, so he'll be familiar with that. But we're meeting with their representative, and I was with Skylar from Delhi and Frank from Green, and Skylar looked down at his phone and he said, oh, excuse me, I have to sign my electric aggregation. So Frank and I both grabbed our phones and it's like, oh, we got to do that too. So we put them on hold, and the guy from Marathon Health said, man, I just need to get that guy to send you an email. You'll sign right up. So we did get locked in at that price. And that's also a price that if the rates come down, we can get out of that price. So if they come back down, we'll be able to adjust it again. But that is the best rate going, and we'll be in with Green, Delhi, and Corrine Townships on that rate. So, as you know, last month I mentioned that when I came here 2.5 years ago, I wanted to get people together just to talk about what's going on in the township. So I had the first ever Let's Talk Miami Township last Monday at 7 a.m. And got about half a dozen business people who showed up for that one. And it was well received. At the end of the meeting, we talked about if we should do it again, if they liked the idea. And they all kind of agreed that they would like to do it bi-monthly. And they wanted to keep that meeting as a business meeting, so we're going to call that Let's Talk Miami Township Business. And of course, anybody that wants to come can come. But if we're going to do Let's Talk Miami Township Business, I said, well, then we'll do Let's Talk Miami Township as part of the ambassadors program that you had existing. So I'd like to get that group together. Lindsay didn't have the date for me. Bear with me while I look.
For the business? The business group or the ambassadors?
The business group is going to stay at that 7 a.m. on
Correct.
Monday, so our next meeting will be June 8th. And Lindsay had the May schedule up, and it looks like May 13th is the evening that I'm going to advertise to HOAs and just general residents, and anybody that wants to come, business people, will be welcome to that one too. And
You said June 8th?
June 13th, or yeah, June 8th and May 13th. I've got it tentatively scheduled with Lindsay for the event center at 6 p.m.
For ambassador?
Yeah. So, it was a good dialogue. I told them at that meeting I probably talked more than I want to talk because it's more geared for you to tell me what the township can do for you. And we had some really good input from the business people, and I hope to get good input from our residents, from our HOAs, and just a chance for them to come and in a relaxed environment and just let me know what they think, and I can bring that information to you. If you guys are available, you're welcome to attend as well, obviously. So I know that all three of you have outside jobs, so it's hard to get to that business meeting, but if you're free in the evening, we'd love to have you. And I think that's all I have.
All right. Any questions for the administrator? Mr. Blanton?
No, not from those things.
Nope.
Any questions from the public for the administrator? All right. Township Department reports, you have, those are available for?
Yes.
All right, let's move on to old business. First item on the agenda is approval of playground equipment purchased for West Park. Replacement for the equipment unrepairable and recommended by the Ohio Plan Risk Management Assessment. Equipment selection to be completed by Administrator Jim Brett with Trustee Blanton's input. That equipment and installation we're looking for tonight, and approval up to $200,000. And with that being said, I think, Mr. Brett, if you want to kind of talk about that versus the playground equipment in the back.
So first, I said with Trustee Blanton's input, but he's been involved in all our park projects, so it's probably more the other way around. He'll give me an idea what he wants, and then I'll have some input on it. So I expect him to do the actual legwork on picking something out. As a matter of fact, we got one price from a supplier, and they dropped off a pretty good-sized book of playground equipment, which I gave him, and I think he's using it for bedtime reading material now. And there's a lot of stuff out there, but boy, is it expensive. And I had no idea it would cost this much. So,
But Mark from Bear and Becker,
please.
Mark from Bear and Becker, we ran it by him.
Yeah, so Bear Becker has done the last two West Park projects, and Heather at Bear Becker is their playground person, and I've come to trust her opinion, so I sent this information on to her. She said, you got to figure $200,000 to $250,000. I'd like to see it come in at that lower end. And that would be with either the rubber surface that's down there now or with a turf surface like we put in at Pat and June Park. And this price that I got from the first company also included removing and clearing out the old playground equipment. So the old equipment had breaks in it, breaks in the welds, and some of the equipment was just worn beyond repair, and you can't buy the replacement pieces because, how old is West Park now, Dan?
It's 11, isn't it 11 years old?
10, 11.
It's 11 years old.
Yeah, so, and as Trustee Boria said, I also have Mark and Heather coming from Bear Becker tomorrow morning to look at the playground equipment out in the back at this building. So it was put in, I guess, with the building. And it needs pieces, it has issues, and the manufacturer is no longer available to supply those. So we're going to come up with a proposal to revamp that area in the back. Sadly, I expect that to be more costly than the West Park piece. But we can't leave what's out there. Again, it was the risk management people who made that recommendation that we get rid of it. So we're just going to have to bite the bullet and do it. 15 years is a good lifetime out of playground equipment, I think. But as I said before, wow, have the prices gone up.
What happened to swing sets and slides?
I'm sorry?
I'm just wondering what happened to a swing set and a slide on the playground.
That'll be part of it.
They build them so elaborate nowadays, it's no wonder it costs so much.
I'll say this, the park, if anybody visits Miami Township West Park, gets tremendous amounts of use. There's kids down there. There are over 50 to 100 kids every day with baseball going on and softball going on and then soccer in the fall. It gets tremendous amount of use, so I can see it wearing out, and it has worn out. I was down there last night looking at it, and we've got half of it taken down and cones over things sticking out of the ground that the maintenance can't take out. So it is a liability for us, so I'd like to see the board move forward on it. And if there's no discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we pass total approval of equipment and installation not to exceed $200,000 for Miami Township West Park.
Any discussion?
Well, I'm going to second it, but I also want to say that I've been pushing for the grounds up here to be improved, as was just mentioned, for several years now. And I think that especially with James Landing going in, the new UDF, the walking trail, that's been a priority of mine for several years. I was trying to bring forward a proposal a couple years ago, and it was kind of shut down. But yes, this is a liability out here. It's rusted. I've had many folks during the Easter egg hunt and things express, disappointment with the shape that that's in. So I do think we need to look at both of them, but I will absolutely support this down at West Park.
All right, so we have a motion.
And I second.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
And I will mention that's something Mr. Newland mentioned with we're going to repair the spots in the ground out there. But I went out and looked at that with him, and he saw the need for this one out here too. So you can expect that to be on your agenda for next month.
Yeah.
All right, next, review the legal opinion policy. Tonight we have Alex Ewing with us, who is the attorney that represents the township from Frost, Brown, and Todd. And in the spirit of full transparency, I know there were questions on this piece, whether it was legal, not legal. I think there were some questions on this that you had brought up. And I guess now we can just kind of hammer this out here on this policy. So I'll start with you and see what questions you might have on this, on the policy for.
Should I go first or Alex go first?
Would you like, I can just kind of give an
Okay,
overview,
sure.
and maybe that may raise some questions. So, first of all, thank you very much for having me tonight. And again, I can't say how honored I am been to be the legal counsel for the township for so long. And we've got a great relationship between our law firm and the township. I myself am West Sider. I live in Delhi. My in-laws lived in Miami Township until they retired, so for me, this is part of my community. So just to explain what the policy is, the policy is really just about ensuring that there's consistency with respect to accessing legal counsel. So the policy states that requests for opinions on behalf of the township will be made exclusively through the trustees' approved legal counsel. And the request can be initiated by the trustees, the township administrator, or individuals that have been expressly authorized by the Board of Trustees or the township administrator. No other individual or official or employee are permitted to seek legal opinions directly from legal counsel without prior authorization, and that a maintenance of attorney-client privilege. And I think the intent here is really to make sure that there's consistency with respect to legal opinions. The purpose of my role here is to provide you with legal guidance, to provide you with insight on risk management, to help you accomplish goals, but making sure that you're getting the same information from the same source. I think it's helpful just to make sure everyone's on the same page and that the township as a whole is operating. One thing that I always say, so I represent several municipal and township clients, and the thing I always remind everyone is that my client is not the township administrator or any individual trustee. My client is the Board of Trustees, the legal entity. And I know that while all of you are individual elected officials, and Mr. Brett is the township administrator, you all have roles, but at the end of the day, we're working together as the board. So the goal here is just to make sure there's consistency with respect to legal opinions. Another piece to this policy is just chain of information, making sure that sometimes there are legal questions that come up, but are those, and it may be appropriate, like if Jim wants the fire chief to ask me a question about like the union contract, that may be completely appropriate, and the policy doesn't foreclose that, but at the same time, you don't necessarily want, department heads calling, a lawyer without you being aware of it or without you authorizing it. And then I think the most important thing as well is just maintaining confidentiality, no matter what if it's my opinion or anyone's opinion. As a that's kind of our most sacred role, is maintaining confidences, and so making sure opinions are sort of channeled through the same process helps make sure that we're sort of limiting the circle of privileged information. So that's just kind of a general overview. At the end of the day, this policy is for the trustees to consider and approve. No one elected me for Miami Township. I didn't receive any votes. This is drafted with the intent of just for your consideration. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to ask or clarify.
So this is one that I don't think, if I recall, this was back in the fall, I believe, that this was adopted. And I think that I saw it either, the first time I saw it was either at the meeting or minutes before, I'm not really sure. So this was kind of abruptly brought forward. And can I ask how this came about, or how this came to fruition?
Sure, and one thing I do want to say is, along with maintaining confidentiality, I'm not going to get into any legal opinions or discussion. Sure. But I was asked by the board president at the time, was Mr. Bland, to draft the document.
Yeah. So, and was it expressed that there was there was support for this, or are trustees allowed to just ask you to say, or was it because he was president? To just come up, I mean, all this cost, your legal, your services cost. So we're encumbering legal fees for you to do this. Was there some, I guess, statement that the board wanted this policy and wanted this?
Well, I was not consulted about like a political question.
Sure.
I'm
Not political,
I'm
just
not a
just
political
whether this
consultant.
should.
But I will say it's, in my experience as a legal representative for, I'm the law director for 2 municipalities, the assistant law director for a couple other, and I assist with some of our law director clients for our townships. And then I also represent quite a few school boards, which operate very similarly.
Sure.
It is not uncommon for me to have a request for a policy to be drafted.
From a specific?
From a specific individual.
Okay.
Because your job is to develop, that is literally your job, is to develop policy for the township to follow. But, you may not be lawyers, even though, all of you are more intelligent than I am, but, I'm trained in this area to draft policy. So I will draft policies for elected officials, but as far as whether it's adopted or whether there are changes or there are, discussion, that's a political discussion for you all to have at the dais or,
Sure.
So.
So after that meeting, and again, I was kind of caught off guard, an attorney that lives in the township contacted me and said that he had watched the meeting and that he had read the policy, and that in his opinion, and it's, everybody has their take and their opinion, but in his opinion, this was unenforceable and potentially was restrictive as far as the rights of employees or things, because if they reached out to, there's almost anything today, and you know better than anyone, almost anything today has some legal ramifications, could potentially have some legal ramifications. And so, we had employees who reached out to the state auditor's office, or the attorney general's office, we talked to the Ohio Township Association. There was, I think that there's a legal counsel up there. The fire department, they have their fire associations, and they talk to legal counsels through their fire associations. There's all kinds of examples that we could cite to where, in the normal course of doing township business, that you're talking to legal representatives or dealing with things that could potentially, because no one has a crystal ball. How far does this go? I believe
Sure.
that you tried to draft it at Dan's request with the intent of accomplishing what you wanted to do. But this attorney said that he had serious concerns. There's free services that you can go through at the state to get, legal inquiries, to have somebody say, hey, here's the OTA could say, here's an opinion that was issued in a similar situation. Should all of that go through you, to where Jim or Cindy or any of us or a department head is doing the normal course of business? And that's where I don't think that this was clear. I know what you were trying to accomplish, but my concern is that this was abruptly drafted the day of, meeting, past that night, and that I don't know that we thought it through all the way.
Well, let me answer this question, kind of, because there was a couple different parts there. I think where I would start is, when I talk about an opinion, that is legal advice that the township is relying upon. I think an employee that reaches out to a state agency with a question and gets information, what you will commonly receive from a state agency will be, here's a resource, here's some information, but we are not giving you a legal opinion. You need to review this with your legal counsel. A great example is like the Ohio Ethics Commission. You may have like an Ohio ethics question. You can talk to an Ohio ethics attorney. They have staff attorneys on board. Yeah, I've talked to them all the time on a regular basis. Sure. Just for my own clarification, because sometimes they have private letters that we're not privy to. They will always say, this is not a legal opinion. You need to consult with legal advice. And so in my view, and same with like the pension board. If you have a question about, well, when does this person have to retire, if we're gonna do like a retiree hire, they can say, here's a resource, or, you may wanna look at this rule, but they can't say, this is a legal opinion. And I think that the intent of this is that if the township's gonna rely on legal information, that it's through their authorized legal representative. But there are resources available, but, the purpose of seeking a legal opinion is typically so that you can, demonstrate that in good faith, you did your due diligence, to ensure compliance, and, contacting a state agency without getting like an actual opinion. It just typically, they're very respectful about it. They just don't want to give an opinion, so.
And so we had our administrator, and I'll just say department head, and it's been written about in the local blog quite a bit. No one seems to be shying away from this, who reached out and asked for those resources, and they didn't ask for a new opinion, they didn't ask for legal advice, but they got some resources, and they were scolded and quite harshly, and so that's where, again, I think that this creates some concern with some of the staff, including our administrator, who's well-versed, has done this for years and years and years, and I don't want to put them in a weird spot to where they don't feel like, it slows things down if everything has to go through council. So I'm not saying that the purpose and again the intent behind this isn't a good, smart move, but I don't know that this gives complete clarity to the board, to the staff, to everyone about what we need to do and how we should operate. So just my opinion.
Can I interject one thing? So I think this is one that I think Alex almost snickered when I called him about it, because it was a question that I was 99.9% sure that I knew the answer of, but it was dealing with a line fence issue, and the person who was asking us that was involved in several items with the Village of Cleves already, and their property was in the Village of Cleves. So he wanted to know if we could come in and make a determination on a line fence in his subdivision, and I was almost 100% sure that the answer was no. Normally, I would have went to the OTA for that, and they would have had all the information I needed, but I called Alex on it. Alex got back to me fairly quickly. However, the mayor in Cleves at that time gave me a fairly verbal tongue lashing over that, because he said, you should have known that you couldn't come here and do it in the village. And I said, well, I was pretty sure, but this guy's already taking you guys to court. I don't want to become part of that court process. I don't want the township to do that. So I reached out to Alex about it and got the same answer I would have got. Those are the kind of things that I don't think I need to pester him for. But the way this policy reads, the way I understand it, I have to come to you to get that information. Would you agree with that, or am I reading it wrong?
Well, I would read it that it states that request for legal opinion. So, and this is going to sound like a flippant example, but let me just say it this way. When you're driving down the road and you see that it's 35 miles an hour, it's posted on a sign, you don't have to call me for my opinion on that. You can use your best judgment. And then there's a spectrum of that in the law. But when you're getting to something that's complex, I would encourage you to seek a legal opinion. I think at that point, that's where the policy would go into place. I think that seeking out other resources, that is not going to be a legal opinion. But I think the question is, does the township want to rely on that? I mean, and if, you have, decades of experience, and if it's a narrow issue and you're comfortable, there's nothing that says you have to seek a legal opinion about that issue. But at the same time, when there is something complex, or you're giving a resource and you don't quite understand it, or maybe it's a little bit, different than what you were thinking, it's okay to say, I think we need an actual opinion.
I'm going to call you anyway, and
Yeah.
I think you know me well enough by now to know that I call and.
Well, and one thing I will say, and this is just, may sound insincere, but it's true, is that, this is not intended to be the call Alex Ewing at every moment policy. At the same time, though, it's really just to ensure there's consistency when you're seeking some kind of formal legal advice.
Correct.
And again, I agree that that's the intent, but Mr. Brett just pointed out, after being around for a long time in township government at various townships and seeing a lot of things, that he had some ambiguity and wasn't sure whether he had an obligation per this policy to contact you. Think about someone with less experience who's a department head or whatever else. So just that serves as an example of what I'm trying to talk about. And I don't want to put fear in our township staff to say, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get written up. I don't want to get whatever if I don't go through this or that. So I express my frustration over it, but that's what this is about.
I will comment on this. Jim, I will say this to you about, you should know the town of Cleves is their own municipality. They have their own zoning, they have their own maintenance, they have their own everything. You shouldn't have to read, just like Alex said, going down the road, 35-mile-an-hour sign, and you see it, you shouldn't have to call him to interpret it for you.
Well,
You should know that house is in the village, and you should know that the township has no jurisdiction. There was no reason for that. This policy was put into place to protect us and to get legal opinions from our legal counsel, not from somebody on the phone that didn't know their name or who they called or anything to get a legal opinion. That's why this was put in, for liability reasons, and so we could get legal opinions from our counsel like we should.
so I will just say this. I'm not an expert on line fences.
Especially out of the township.
And, well, the Village of Cleves is in Miami Township. I did not
We have
know
no
the answer to that.
jurisdiction.
I agree, but
You know that.
do I know that we don't have line fence responsibility in a village? And I didn't.
You should.
I'm-
If we don't have any jurisdiction, how would we have line responsibility? That makes no sense.
I said I was 99.9% sure of that, but because the Village of Cleves was already tied up in litigation with that person, I didn't want the township to get tied up in it. So I felt like, I could have called and, got the opinion from the OTA,
Could have just
or I could have called
yourself.
Alex, and, because they were already in legal litigation, I thought we needed an opinion from somebody.
And you said that the resident was trying to make the case that the Village of Cleves is in Miami Township, and that therefore that's why they were trying to advocate their position, and that we needed to.
And by the way, in defense of the Village of Cleves, because I don't want somebody to think that we're here to bash them, the mayor told me that he had offered multiple times to meet that person and the neighbor at the fence, at their home, and the homeowner told me that, and he refused it, and it was going to be a no-win situation, and because when I told him that I thought that if he would take his problem to the mayor or to Justin, the administrator, that they would treat him fairly, he wouldn't listen to that. He was one of those people that wasn't going to be happy with the answer. So I wanted to be 100% sure, not 99, Because if I'm 99% sure and he comes in and files a lawsuit, then that's on me for not knowing what I was doing. So,
All right. Any
but that's-
additional questions on this for Mr. Ewing?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Laura's got a question.
I just have one
Can you have
question.
people come up to the-
Is this about the handbook? Like the employee handbook, or what, this policy?
This is just a separate policy.
Oh, okay, but it was like voted on, right?
It was passed 2-1.
Okay. And I have a
Actually, I think it passed 3-0.
I just.
Sure,
wondering,
yeah.
like,
I just have a quick question. You represent the board as a whole
Tim.
in the township, correct?
Yes.
Tim,
So
can you have him come up to the microphone?
employees should not call you and ask you questions. They should go through the proper channels.
Yes.
And have their supervisors reach out to the board, and then the board
To the
contact you.
administrator.
Yes, yes. I mean,
Your position is you represent the board and township as a whole,
yes, like I don't represent any individual
employees or
or
staff.
any individual, yes,
Right.
because, you know, that's not my role. But, you know, of course, you know, we have 3 trustees, we have a fiscal officer, we have a
Right.
township administrator,
Right.
so they
That's-
will contact
That's what
the
I
individual.
encompasses the board and township, the administrator, the fiscal officer, the trustees. And then I do also believe in one of the previous meetings that when this was discussed, that Mr. Brett and Cindy were told that they were able to contact you when need be indirectly without
To the
having
policy.
permission
Oh, I-
from
That's correct.
the
I'm
trustees.
part of the board, so yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have
that
to
is
be
the
told.
policy.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And Alex, just to clarify, any one of us could contact you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but wouldn't it be more ideal if it came through the administrator to be your point of contact? Because then you're getting the perspective of, and can sort of take a poll of where each trustee
That's not what we passed.
and/or fiscal officer is, so that you're getting the perspective of the entire board.
Well,
Ideally, not that we can't individually call you, but that gives you a little bigger picture of what's going on.
most of the questions I have relate to, you know, the compliance with operations.
Sure.
And so
Payroll,
those do mostly come through Jim. And,
Sure.
you know, that is the most common, you know, occurrence. But I will say it's not uncommon to be contacted by an individual trustee. And I will tell each individual trustee that,
Sure.
you know, my client is the township, not any individual person.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
All right, let's move on.
We'll never get through it.
All right, next on the agenda under old business is the approval of the drone show for the America 250 Summer Concert. Mr. Brett.
So when we started talking about America 250, we started talking about what we could do different from what everybody else is doing. And one of the things that we kicked around, this was last fall actually, when we started talking about this, was incorporating our summer concert series as part of our America 250 celebration, and doing a drone show with an America 250 theme, which I think you guys all received a mock-up of that from Lindsay.
Yes.
And so a drone show is actually about the same as fireworks, or a little bit more, but it would be a little more unique. And we actually, Cindy had a contact at I'm going to butcher the name of it.
Or it's Rozzie's, but it's through.
Yeah, Rossi
Yeah.
Pyrotechnics. It was kind of funny because they initially told Lindsay that the area they needed to launch their drones from would take up our parking lot and ball field. And so that kind of eliminated the spot to have the concerts. And so I contacted Tim Helms, who's doing James Landing development, asked him about using their spot. Walked back there with the gentleman and he said, "Oh, this would be great. I need a spot about 300 by 75 or 150 by 75 to launch." And I'm like, we shouldn't even have to walk back here for that. That's one of the parking pads. And Tim thinks he'll have the first course of blacktop in for the streets and the parking pads. So they'll be able to launch back there. The show can be out over top our walking trail. The way we're planning to set this up this year would be to set the band up facing the ball field. So we'll have more parking in the parking area. We're going to pray for no rain so it's not muddy. And then the people will already be facing the drone show, so it should flow really nicely. We're also talking about having a couple of food trucks there. Lindsay's trying to get a group from the school to do face painting for the kids. And we're thinking about having an opening act. We've talked to the Michelle Robinson Band, who is, by the way, a pretty popular local band, I'm finding out, about having somebody come in and do maybe an hour of just a solo act beforehand so people could enjoy the food. The American Legion always takes care of the beer here for that, so I'm sure they'll do that again. We're talking with all the same people about traffic control and everything. So I think it'll be a really nice event, and while it's pricey, we only turned 250 years old once. So they're talking probably a 20 to 30 minute show, and it could cost up to $20,000.
Okay. Any discussion?
I have none.
It's a lot, but like Jim said, pretty significant year here, and we want to celebrate it right. So I do think it sets us apart and is something unique, so I'm looking forward to it.
And we'll be, if anybody out there is looking for a place to park some money so that they can have the deduction next year, we are going to take donations for this. We have a verbal commitment from Rumpke and also from the Ohio plan. So we're hoping to offset a lot of this cost with contributions from businesses and local people. So anybody that's interested, see me. And
You have to bring it up in the business meeting.
I did.
Yeah. Oh,
I did.
okay.
Already did. Yeah, we're, and even Cindy said, some of the people we do business with that she knows, she'll be glad to reach out to them. So hopefully we can pay for the majority of it.
Do you have a letter, like a letter?
Not yet, because I was waiting for.
Okay.
If they said no, I wasn't going to bother.
Okay. Okay.
And this is getting in the weeds, but, I would like to kind of wait till we see the forecast that week and then decide which way we face, the stage and kind of how we set that up. But that is one of the discussions, is having it reversed and kind of being out in the field. But.
Okay. All right, so on this, no discussion, anyone
What
making a
time
motion?
would the drone show be? What time of the evening?
So typically we do 7 or 7:30 to
It's
10.
going to be dark enough.
Correct.
They got on here 10 p.m.
So
on the contract. 10 p.m. on the contract,
yeah,
What date?
June 19th.
it's a Friday. There's, again, Michelle Robinson Band. We've done that
Juneteenth
weekend,
day.
so.
It's a holiday.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else, I will make a motion that we approve up to $20,000 for the drone show for ROTC that.
All right. Second?
Are you seconding it?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Last two pieces of business on here tonight. We will be going into executive session for, there's going to be a salary adjustment for the maintenance department employees and fire department personnel discussion. So can I, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual in the maintenance department, unless the employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual requests a public hearing by Division G1 of Section 121.22 of the revised code. Second piece, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual in the fire department unless the employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual request a public hearing by Division G1 of Section 121.22 of the revised code. That is a motion.
I'll second it.
Who moved, I'm sorry?
Tim?
Okay. Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volria?
Yes.
And Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
At
Can I have that?
7:19.
Yep.
Okay.
right, I guess I need a motion to come back into regular session.
I make a motion that we return from executive session and return to regular.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
8:07.
8:07.
All right, on the new business side of things, salary adjustment, would you like to make a motion for salary adjustment for employees Damian Walton, Jason Bear, and then Dan Lee? Or you make a motion to do that at $2?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
And Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.